Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, this is episode 105. 105 weeks of consistency, 105 weeks of getting it done. We outside. One thing that I didn't do last week that I meant to do, and I need to get better at this, is I did not give myself flowers for 2 years. Last week was 2 years that Wealth is a Journey podcast has been in existence, and I did not do anything about it. And now I'm just like, I want to clap it up for myself. I want to thank God for allowing me to do this and give me ideas, bringing guests to my mind about who I want to have on here, what I want to talk about, and things of that nature. And I'm just so grateful that you guys have taken this ride with me. Again, we outside. So before we get started, I'd like to say to the first time listeners, watchers, subscribers, thank you so much for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about faith, family, and finances, among other things. If you are a return listener, watcher, subscriber, thank you so much for joining us. Again, hopefully, we're adding value to your lives on the way to the M's, because we are on the way to the M's. Today, man, this episode is gonna be one of them ones. I already know it because I have my sister. My sister. This is my sister, Michelle Washington. Let's go, Michelle. Thank you. What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining Wealth is a Journey. Guys, you are in for a treat today. This young lady has a bunch of personality. She is she's one of the people that I talk about on this podcast that give me information, give me just different things to enhance what I'm doing on the podcast and outside the podcast, man. So she is one of those people that you need in your corner that are going to big you up and at the same time tell you, hey, listen, you may need to improve this thing over here, and you got to take action because you know she's going to follow up with you. So, Michelle, thank you so much for joining Wealth is a Journey podcast. If you just wouldn't mind just giving the people a small snapshot of who you are and what you do, and we'll hop into it.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here. I'm so honored to be on your podcast. I've been watching you for a while, and every time I see you, I just smile because you're doing it. Um, I'm
Thank
very
you.
simple. I'm Michelle. I am the CEO and founder of Women of More. All
Oh, wait,
things.
wait, 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 wait. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not doing simple because you're not. Okay. So don't do that. But continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
I am Michelle, a woman of more. That's where I always stand and set the position that I'm a woman of more first, and my intent in life is to inspire women and men, but especially women to get to their more. So I do that via magazine, I do that through podcasting, creating content, I do it through just engaging people. And I'm super duper blessed with our success.
Yes, yes, you are. I always like to talk to people who, in my opinion, are successful, whether they feel like they're successful or not. Um, but I like to know first who was Michelle as the little girl growing up. Like who was she? I feel like he was a little feisty. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I want you to tell me, please.
She was something. She was something else. She used to be one of my favorite people in the world.
Mm,
She was creative. She's actually everything I am today,
okay.
believe it or not. Very creative, courageous. Um, she was inspired by her father, especially because I'm a pastor's kid. My father was a pastor in
Mm,
Philly. That's where I was born and raised in Philly. And I knew back then, as a little girl, that I always was going to talk before people. So,
mm.
because I knew that, I start creating the atmosphere, meaning I would go in my bedroom and put my teddy bears around the room. And I would preach and inspire them. Their lives was changed and set free by teddy bears. They were.
Yeah.
But I was always creative. When I look back, I was creative. I always wanted to try new things. I always wanted to see what the inside of something was, whether it was things I shouldn't have did, like my parents' table. I would open it and write on it, which I shouldn't have done, but
Yeah.
I was feisty to a degree, but
Yeah.
still shy. That's the other part. I was shy.
That's one thing we're going to talk about this right here because that's one thing. Like, if you see Michelle out and about, she's bubbly and she's always on. And I'm like, yo, I know Michelle has never had a bad day in her life. I know that's not true, but it just looks like you never had a bad day in your life. And that's one of the things I admire about you. But I also know I'm the same way, but I also love my downtime and I love to be away from people. So are you an introvert at heart sometimes?
I am. I
I,
am.
I
And people
figured that.
never believe that,
I
but I
figured that.
am. If I
Yeah.
need to be on, I'm on.
Yeah.
But if I had a choice, I'll be down. Like, I'm cool.
That's awesome. So, uh, when you were growing up, where did you see yourself? Did you see yourself as a preacher or in ministry at some level?
I did. I did. Because that was my environment.
Sure.
So my environment said this is going to be your path. Uh,
Mm,
I didn't know it was going to happen the way that it did, but it did.
sure.
I'm not sure if you know, but I was. You never get unordained, but I'm an ordained pastor. Me and my ex, we were pastors. Yep, here in Delaware, for maybe a decade or so. Yep, yep,
Wow, I did not know that.
yeah.
I think we had talked before, and you said that you were married to a pastor, but I
Mhm,
didn't know the extent of it. And I know you guys are obviously not together anymore, but I knew that.
mhm,
As a pastor's kid, I
mhm,
know that there's sometimes they feel like there's a magnifying glass on them, and that can cause them to rebel
mhm,
and do the opposite of what they've been taught.
mhm.
Did you ever go through that type of
Ab-
period?
Absolutely. And even my siblings, my older brother and older sister, because it's five of us, but
Mm,
they are the oldest. And we did because we lived church every single day. Then the church had a school. We went to that school. It was everything. One of the things that I wish my parents would have taught me, I the other side of life, the spiritual part was great.
mm-hmm.
It's needed, it's necessary, but I didn't get the other part in
Sure.
regards to finances, in regards to managing life, what the other side looks like. And
Yeah.
because of that, I did rebel. I did things that, I didn't go too far, but I tried different things that I didn't have to do. But because I wanted to see what the other world was like, I
Mm-hmm.
did.
And what was the thing? Was it before you got married? What was the thing that God pulled you back? Because I know there's a point where you like, all right, I'm wilding now. Like I need to relax now. I'm doing a little too much.
Yeah, yeah,
Did
yeah.
was there a moment that happened to you that was like, all right, I need to go back?
Well,
What's going on, family? This is Che Willis from Wealth as a Journey. Did you know that we just started a wealth building community? In this community, we meet once a month on Zoom. We discuss financial areas of opportunity. We discuss wins and strategies to get you to the M's. In anybody's wealth building journey, if you're just starting out, it can be super lonely and difficult. In this community, we're also going to hold you accountable to where you say you want to be. So if you need the accountability, if you need the family atmosphere, if you need help getting to your desired financial result, come join the community. My website is www.wealthisajourney.com. Join the community today to get to your financial result. Thank you.
for one thing, it's good to have older siblings because you can watch them fail and say, "Oh, I'm
Mm,
gonna do that." And I saw a lot of that.
yeah.
Um, but my grandmother, she also lived with us, and she was the regulator. She was the one. Like, there was this guy. I guess he was my high school crush,
Mm,
and I knew if I got with him, it was going to go down. I knew it. But it
mm-hmm.
was something that happened that she either called or told me to stay where I was that made me not go.
Mhm.
And that particular guy, he went a different way. He went a different way in life. And it would have caused me to do some things that I shouldn't have done. So my grandmother was the staple piece in my home and in my life to cause me to just slow down. But my mother
Mm.
and sister taught me a lot of what to do and what not to do. Mhm.
I'm glad you figured that part out because a lot of people, what I see, because I talk to people about their finances, right? And they have many examples of people whose finances did not work out, right? But then they think, oh, well, that'll never happen to me, even though they're doing the same things that they
Mhm.
saw their parents or brother and sister, whatever the case may be, do. But you saw your brother and sister doing some things, and you're like, oh, maybe I don't need to be doing that too much. So let me chill. But I'm glad that you saw that and you went back.
Mhm.
You had those examples. So,
And you're also shelter as a PK. I know
mhm.
not everybody, but my life, my environment, I was shelter. I was the baby at one point because I
Yeah.
had twin sisters under me, but I was the baby. So I was kind of shelter. I only went but so far when I was younger, which was a saving grace. And I used to
Mhm.
hate it. I hated it. I did. But now that I'm older, I'm like, God, thank you,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I could have went so many ways. I could have had a different story, but because I was sheltered to a degree, it was on purpose. God was shielding me for such a time as this.
Yeah, that's dope. Did you ever have any of your friends peer pressure you because they knew that you was a PK? I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like you might have. I don't know. Did you?
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially going into high school,
Yeah.
um, like try this. I'm like, and if I tried, I was looking so weird at it because again, I was like new to this. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on in life. But
Yeah.
yeah, but not only was I had peer pressure, I was also bullied because of that side. Because
Mm.
I was a PK. Because people perceive me, oh, she thinks she's that or that's that family. And I'm thinking like, yo,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
Yeah. That's wild. You know, it's funny, man. Like you get bullied and you get talked about for certain things, and then those same people end up wanting to be where you are, if that makes sense. So let me just say this. When I was growing up, I
mm-hmm,
used to get made fun of for talking properly because
mm-hmm,
I'm from Ardmore. I'm from the A. If ain't nobody know, I'm from the A, right? From Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And I used to go to Philly. My parents lived in Philly, and I used to go to Philly, and then my friends there would make fun of the way I talked. And even when I went to Cheney, they were like, "Oh, you talk like blah blah blah." I'm like, "All right, cool, yeah." But then a lot of those people are now raising their kids in Ardmore,
mm-hmm,
so it's cool to see that full circle moment. My question to you is, when you got married,
mm-hmm.
before everything went south or whatever, was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Absolutely not.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's
Absolutely.
talk about it.
Well, to be honest with you, my father told me not to get married to that.
Mm,
He told me, he said, Michelle, don't do it. Eventually, my mother said, Michelle, don't do it. But I said, he's a minister. My
yeah.
father said, don't do it. And
Were
that,
you blinded by the ministry piece? Did you were there things that you in hindsight you like I saw this, but you were blinded by the ministry piece? What can you talk about that a little bit?
I wasn't blind. I knew fully well what was going on. I was disobedient. I was
Mm.
I got married in I think I was 21, 2.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think it was something like so that was part of the rebellion that you was talking about earlier.
Mm.
Um, but I wanted to prove my parents wrong. But
Mm.
looking back, my father already identified this guy as he's not good. He's not the one you want to marry. And I got married anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't come to the wedding. I was heartbroken that they didn't show up.
Yeah.
Um, but looking back, I'm so grateful they didn't co-sign the shenanigans that I put myself in because they was trying to save me. Jay, they
Yeah.
was trying, my father was trying to save me and say, Michelle, you don't have to do this. But
Yeah.
I did it anyway. Um, and because of that, I suffered so much, Jay. I suffered so much from, and I talk about this, from physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. It was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And looking back, I'm disobeying my father
Mm,
caused me to, it changed the whole path that God really had for me. Thank God that he redeemed and restores us and bring us
yes.
back to the right path. But so much time was wasted, so much hurt was discovered. I could have lost my life. Like the last fight that we had, um, he picked me up like a wrestler. You know how they do, pick you up and just throw you down. I could have
Yeah.
died that day. And when I tell the story, people look at me today and say, "Not you, yeah," because
That's what I'm thinking.
when you're living a life of disobedience and you're living a life that you're not supposed to live, your identity of who you truly are, it changes. You
Yeah.
conform to the lifestyle that you're in. So if I'm making a choice already to be disobedient, if I'm making a choice to marry the wrong guy, then everything is wrong. The great thing is my daughter's out of it,
Mhm.
but stepping into something like that, it was awful, Jay. I could have lost my life. There were so many times that I left and I would go back and all this other kind of stuff. And that
Yeah.
last time, I heard God throughout the whole marriage when it got bad, but I heard him, he said, leave. And the
Mm,
day that I heard that sound, I was like, this is it. I'm done. And
wow.
when I left, I never looked back.
I never knew any of this because I'm thinking
Mhm.
you're feisty. And in my head, you're feisty and you gonna stand up and you going it's gonna go down. You're not gonna just treat me any kind of way, it's gonna go down, right? But talk to the since we're here now,
Mhm.
talk to the person that is maybe going through this now because my thought is if my wife ever hit me, I'm out. Because I already know the path that it could go down, right? So, what was the thing that made you stay? And then talk to that person about staying.
Mhm. The reason why I thought I had to stay, one, my self-esteem was just, it was, I don't even know if it was low. It wasn't even there, Jay.
Hmm.
I'm feisty now. There
Yeah, 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 yeah. No
okay.
doubt. No doubt.
Today,
Yeah.
I
Don't try it
know who
today.
I am. I know who I am. But I didn't see my value. I lost all of that. I lost myself in this lifestyle, in this man. Um, so the reason why I say a couple of reasons for that. The second reason is because I still had that religious mindset that once you're married, you're always married. If
Mm,
you get a divorce, you're going to hell, man. You're going
yeah.
to hell, man. And it took me so long to even tell my parents. Actually, was my father still alive? I think eventually he passed, but then I had to tell my mom the truth of what was going on. And she said, Michelle, leave. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking I had to stay and suffer because of this whole scope of, once you're married, you stay married, you don't get a divorce, you just pray about it. You just go home and do as look.
Man, let's stay right there, Michelle. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit. Let's stay right
Okay.
there. A lot of Christians, because I was one of them,
Mm-hmm,
believe that they could just pray their things away, and it's just going to go.
mm-hmm,
But again, faith without works is dead.
mm-hmm,
So you have to have some type of action in order for your thing that you're praying for to come to pass.
mm-hmm.
How important is that though?
It's super duper important. Not only is the aspect of working through it, it's having common sense.
Yeah.
There's no reason I should have allowed myself and actually my oldest daughter at the time to experience that lifestyle.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with God. That had everything to do with my decision to first be disobedient to my parents and marry him anyway, because I
Yeah.
was grown. I thought I knew what I was doing. I knew better for my life.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say to the woman, especially even to the men that are experienced this in life, I felt like I couldn't make it if I got a divorce. Now,
Mm,
this is the thing. This is how that lifestyle will deceive you. It wasn't that he was helping me. It was just that his presence was in the house. And I
yeah.
thought if the separation happened, then everything is just going to, I'm not going to know what I'm going to do. And plus, he was feeding lies to me at the same time, saying nobody going to want you with kids. You're still young. Da, 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 da. So if you're talking that way to a woman that doesn't see her value, where is she going? But I
Yeah.
challenge the woman that is viewing now, if you are in that situation, one, you don't have to be there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there. You could be set free even now. You
Yeah.
don't have to um dummy down yourself to feel like, oh, what am I going to do? There is help. There is help everywhere, financially, housing, emotional help, mental help with a
Yeah.
therapist, counselor, and stuff. Um, but I thought this was my life until I got a hold of myself. I said, I don't have to do this anymore.
And you know what's crazy? Fear will make you do the dumbest
The dumbest
things.
things, man.
Bro, it's
Dumb.
it's crazy how, because if you're a believer in hopefully the people who are listening and watching this get their relationship where it needs to be with God, because once you do, you'll realize that he is your provider.
Yes.
And if you're in an abusive situation, or any situation for that matter, and
Mhm.
you're trusting that God is going to help you get out of the situation, you're taking the steps, you're taking the action to get there, he's going to provide for you opportunities,
Mhm.
people,
Yes.
situations that's
Yes.
going to help you get out of the situation that you're in. But the fear
Mhm.
will lock you down and bog you down, and you'll just see all the outward things that are going on, and it'll force you to stay.
Mhm. Absolutely. To the point that you're staying, and now is you go from year one, now it's year 13. I was in this marriage for 13 years. 13 years, man. It was just awful because of fear, because of not understanding the truth of who I was
Hmm.
and how God created me. That's how, like you said, we make dumb decisions. Well, I'm telling you, I don't want to jump ahead, so I'm gonna just say that.
But I do believe that even though we go through bad situations, if we make it out, then it's a testimony for you to then tell somebody else.
Hmm.
So I believe that because you were obedient to leave when you did, then
Hmm.
now that brought you closer to God. Now
Hmm.
your relationship is right with him. And
Hmm.
then now you can then pour into other women
Hmm.
about how good he is, and how he can change their lives as well.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about everything that I do about being a woman of more. And I do want to put this in there. You
Hmm.
know, one of the things, one of the major things that helped me was getting a counselor. My therapist saved my life. I say that
Mm,
all the time. You know, God saved me and everything, but it was my therapist that was able to help me navigate from that lifestyle to the lifestyle of where I am today. And I
mhm.
challenge the women that are watching now to make sure if you're leaving the situation to save your life. Because Che, I left with a trash bag. I didn't care about the house. I didn't care about clothes, shoes, none of that. It didn't matter. When you want to be set free, you out.
Yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't matter. All that other stuff, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
And but once I went through all of that, once I got the help, once I did the work, I still struggle with my identity of knowing who I know, you know, what God said, but there was a dark time, Che. It was dark where, you know, when you get divorced as a woman, you get two titles. You get, she's a divorced woman, and if you have kids, now she's a single mom. Now
Mm,
people looking at me is like, she's a single mom, as if that's sad or a sob story, whatever. But I fed into that. And now I'm trying to navigate life, trying to survive, trying to provide for my children and everything. And one Saturday morning, I'll never forget it. I was actually here in the office. And I was just like crying out to God, like, God, I need your help because not only is society coming at me, now I'm coming at myself like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm less than. And this is what happens. And I always get emotional because it was the day my life changed, Jay. God said to me, He said, you're more than your trauma and your tragedies.
Mm.
You are a woman of more, and there is more to you. I promise you. Promise you. And the reason why, and I would ask, and I realized this not too long ago. I said to myself, I said, the reason why God used those two words is because I was dealing with trauma and tragedy. He could have said something else. He
Yeah.
said, you're more than your trauma and your tragedy. He said, there's more to you. You're more than that. Yes, you went through that, but there's more to you. So when I say it, I'm not saying it because I came up with that name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it because that's what I needed to hear. That's the reminder that I needed. That was the thing that really got me back on track. Woo! Man,
That's awesome.
it got me
Woo!
back on track because he was resetting me. He was reminding me, Michelle, that happened. Yes, but you don't have to stay there. And that's
Yeah.
my message to women. You are more, even to these titles that we carry as a wife, a mother, and they're all good.
Mm-hmm.
But if we only stay there, that's where we always going to be. Meanwhile, God has so much more for us. He really does. If I would have stayed in that box of feeling battered or feeling like a victim, I wouldn't be here with you today
Facts.
because I would still be in the story instead of telling the story.
Ooh. You cooking?
Still been in the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, dude, man, like we we pray for different things, and God is talking to us all the time if we're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we like that woe is me feeling because it feels good to have people pity you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it sucks, like it feels good. Oh, it's okay, baby. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that you didn't stay there. And how many opportunities did you have to stay there?
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope that people are hearing that. Like
Mm-hmm.
where you are is not where you need to stay. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're being abused, whether you're being talked down to, whether you're in a financial situation, if
Yes.
you're a bad parent at the moment, it all of it applies.
Yes.
You do not have to stay where you are.
Yes.
Man, this is good already, man. We ain't even a 30, 40 minutes in, man. We cooking right now, Shell.
But can you imagine? Imagine knowing, see, this is what happens when you get in a position, even financially, all things, like you said, it applies
Hmm.
to everything. But there was a time as a little girl, I was full of life,
Yeah.
full of hope, dreaming. And the moment I made a decision to do something opposite from what I knew, I became a different person. I started living life differently.
Yeah.
When I got a divorce, my sister husband at the time, he said, "Oh, divorce looks good on Michelle." This is what he said. My sister said, "She's always been funny. She's always been this person." And it triggered something like, yo, I've been living 13 years opposite of myself because I made a decision.
Man.
I have to like I was always funny. I was always, she said, "You've always been that way." But my life changed that narrative. And now I'm like, this is just life. But then once I got through it and did the stuff, here I am today. I'm back.
That's awesome. So as you were going through that, how did the magazine and how did Women of More,
Yeah,
how did that get birthed? Like what was
yeah,
the steps? What did you do? I need to know, please.
absolutely. So once I went through that and I
Yeah.
heard what God said, I said, God, if I needed that reminder, there are women. I said it just like this. I said it out loud. I said, there are women around the world that needs the same reminder. So then I'm thinking, because I'm always creative, um, how can I get this message out? And then I said, well, let me do a social media campaign where I start highlighting women that I knew, right? And then I said, I got to take it beyond here. I received a magazine, and in this magazine was the Elle magazine. It had a smaller magazine in it. I carried that around for 1 year, and I will open it up from time to time. I said, one day, Women of More is going to have a magazine, just like that. And I would put it back, and I look at it. Oh, Women of More are going to have a magazine, because I knew if I did this, then the message would go beyond the scope of what I knew.
Yeah.
And then that's what happened. I started researching, I started studying and stuff like that. I started coming up with a list of women that I wanted on the cover. And I just went to work. I started asking, who were writers, who wanted to write for the magazine. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. That's simple.
Man. So how did you did you have to finance the thing on your own? Like how does all that work?
Finance it all my own on my own. Like when I was doing research, I had to determine like where do magazines live, how are they developed, because I didn't
Mhm.
know none of this.
Yeah.
And but yes, I had to put all the money to it because it was the beginning of something, and I didn't even know it was going to be a thing. A lot
Mm.
of people said, is this how I just knew that I needed to get the message beyond me. It wasn't even part of the plan. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't say I'm gonna make a create a magazine. That came later. But I
Yeah.
knew I needed to use something bigger than me to get this message out.
The one thing that I think people need to understand about anybody or anything that's great is that it takes a step. Like you don't know all the things that you would like to know. You just need to know, take a step, and
Mm,
then more things will be revealed to you. Then you take another step, and then more things will be revealed. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about my first episode
mm,
because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm looking down at the camera, got my iPhone, it's looking crazy, and then I just kept going, doing it
yes.
ugly, doing it afraid, not knowing what the topics were, like everything. So I applaud people who persevere and
Mm,
fight through the I don't know, and now look at you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's dope, and it needs to be applauded, man, because more people need to see people like what
Absolutely.
you're doing.
Everybody needs to understand that if you're in business or starting anything, it's not going to look the way that you see how everybody else is doing it. It's going
Yeah,
to start exactly where you are. And that's why I applaud you for your consistency.
I
When
appreciate
I
that.
saw you did your 100 show, I was like 100. And when you said 2 years, it's been 2 years.
I forgot too. That's why I said I had to get myself out. I said I forgot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you
But
did it. And look at you now.
yeah, man, God is so good, man. And also one of the things that I really appreciate about you is that you big women up and you have a community as well,
Hmm.
which is huge because I'm a part of a community and I feel like I am where I am now because of being a part of the community.
Hmm.
And my wife is a part of this community. And
Hmm.
there were some times, and we talk about it, so she knows. There were some times where she would not want to go because she was tired or whatever the case. She might have had a bad night or whatever. And I'm like, yo, you got to get up. You got to, because I know what the community did for me.
Hmm.
So I can only imagine the stuff that you're pouring in. You're pouring in like the word
Hmm.
and things of that nature that's going to build people up.
Hmm.
So talk to me about the community first,
Hmm.
um, and then also when did it start and how's it going?
Hmm. It's going great. It started during the pandemic, and the community, it's Women of More, but the name of it is called the Morning Rally.
Mm-hmm.
And during the pandemic, there was a lot of conversation about needing help and not knowing how to do different things. And one of the things, when you starting something, people are always there at the ribbon cutting. People are
Mm-hmm.
always there at the beginning celebrating, which is fantastic. But they go home and now you have to work the thing that you said you're doing.
Yes.
I always give the illustration of a track runner. Everybody is at the starting line, which is also the finish line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But where you need your biggest cheers or your cheerleaders is in the middle of the track when you're almost there. That's when you get dehydrated. That's when you start getting tired.
Yeah.
And normally, it's not a lot of people in that section on the track meet.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in life, in business. So I said, what can I do to help women get some strategies and let them know that there is someone rallying around them to help them finish what they started? And that's where the community was developed. It's been 5 years now, which is crazy
Let's
because
go.
I started and it wasn't all that, but I said, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And but what we do is I give them strategies. The Bible is always the foundation for everything that I talk about because there's so many business practices in every story
Yes.
of the Bible. It
Yes.
really is. And I always give them that. And then from that, I give them strategies. Then I talk about marketing. Then I talk about concepts and things to help them do what they do. So it's growing. It's amazing. And I love rallying around women. I tell
Yeah.
them all the time, I'm rooting for you big, man. And the reason why I'm so passionate is because of that girl that allowed herself to be in a situation that wasn't meant for her. I root for women because I know what it's like to not have the support. I know what it's like to feel less than. I know
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to feel like you got to stay in certain situations and mindsets and emotions. I know what that is like. You're looking
Yeah.
at a woman that has not only been delivered, and ladies, I want you to really hear this because God doesn't just want to deliver you, He wants to set you free. And that's what God did for me. He delivered me, but He set me free emotionally
Mm-hmm.
and mentally. I could talk about this story now. I might get emotional, but it's not telling itself on me because He set me free from it. So when
Mich-
I come together with these women, I'm like, yo, come on,
Yeah.
man. And I'm
Yeah.
talking to them just like, come on, yo. Like,
Yeah.
you got to understand who you are
The
because
the
I'm
the
trying to get them the information faster because it took me a long time to get it.
yeah.
So,
The cool part about what you said is that when you're free and your eyes are open to what God can do for you, there are no limitations on
amen.
your life, and you may seem strange to that person looking at you like, yo, who does this person think he or she is?
Yeah.
But once the wool's pulled from over your eyes, like you know what's possible for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just don't want people to miss that, man. And I see it. I recognize it. I recognize that you're free,
Yes.
and I'm free, and trying to help other people understand, like, yo, it's not as difficult as you think it is. The fear may be blinding you to how difficult it could be,
Mm-hmm.
but then if you just take the step
Yeah,
and
man.
keep taking the step.
Yeah. You'll get there. You'll get there, man. In every aspect of your life, you'll
Yeah.
get there. It took me time.
Mm-hmm.
It took me time. Once I got a divorce too, and this is good for those that are watching, is that I had to say, I forgive you to
Mm.
the man that caused the trauma and tragedy for my life and my daughter's life. I had to say, I forgive you. Now, I said that in faith. I said it to him, which was the last time that I laid eyes on him
Mm.
because I didn't want to carry him. I didn't
Yeah.
want to carry him into my future.
Yeah,
So I had to put a stamp, I had to put a period here. Now, of course, I had to do the work to
for sure.
forgive, but I had to make a statement. And when I made that statement, I said, God, I don't want to become a bitter woman. I don't want to become a hard woman because I love love. I love relationships. But I had to say that too because I've seen hard women as a
Yeah,
little girl, but I never wanted to take that into my future. So it was important what I said in those moments. And it's so important for those people that are watching to understand what you say in those moments matter. It
for sure.
matters. That's why I didn't want to just be delivered from all of that. I needed to be set free. There's a lot of people that are delivered from things, but they are still tormented from the things that they experienced.
Yeah,
That's because you're not free from it.
yeah,
And I wanted that.
man. And you're helping other women do the same thing. Because again, we talked about before how my wife sometimes she didn't want to get on. This was early on,
Mhm.
and I'm encouraging her like, yo, get up, you got to go. And there were many times where you might have said something, or somebody poured into her, but
Mhm.
because the fear or whatever it was that clouded her from trying to get on there was blocking her from getting the thing that she actually needed that specific day,
Mhm.
and she got it.
Mhm.
So I know what you're doing is working,
Mhm.
and you're teaching biblical principles as well.
Mhm.
And we pray a lot of times
Mhm.
for things, but then we try to do the thing on our own without God's help. And I believe like once that relationship piece comes into play, then you will be unstoppable, especially if you continue to listen and do what you hear.
Yep.
Crazy. Uh, and in that, I want to tell a quick story.
Yes.
Um, as someone, I wanted to get closer to God. I didn't really know what that looked like because it was a lot of religious stuff with me.
Mhm.
And when I first heard God speak to me, He told me He wanted me to help people, and it's documented. I talked about it on this podcast before.
Mhm.
But as I went along, I kept listening.
Mhm.
And for business specifically, because you talk about women, you talk to women about business and how God and different biblical principles. God spoke to me a couple months ago about something specific, something that could have went way left. I have a rental property that's next to another property, and we were having an issue with some plumbing.
Mm.
So I'm after this person for months. Like, hey, so at one point in time, I was ready to go, call a lawyer, get papers on the person and blah, 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 blah. And
Mhm.
God said to me on the inside, don't do anything.
Mhm.
The day that I was going to pay for the thing to get fixed, which was going to cost thousands of dollars, the person called me. Said, "Hey man, I'm so sorry. I've been out of the country, blah 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 blah." And had I had done what I wanted to do,
Wow.
then it would have cost me thousands of dollars and I would have been in strife with his landlord. So I would just encourage people, if they're not plugged in with you as far as being women, to
Mhm.
plug in, man, to get those principles, because the closer you get to God and you're a business person, it's going to take your business to another level, especially again if you're listening and you do what you hear to do.
Mhm. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I know you have a show, a podcast. What is the thing? I just want to make sure I get it right. Is this thing? Am I premature talking about this?
No,
Huh?
you're the
Okay.
first person. Well, you're not the first person,
I
but
saw it on social media, so I
yes,
just okay.
yes.
All right.
So it's called Women of More TV, which is on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my ultimate goal is to create content for women. Um, and not just content, but shows, commercials, film is the ultimate thing that I want to do. And I have her on my desk. Her name is Ava DuVernay. That's my girl right there. See her?
Yes, sir.
So, um, so what we're doing is creating shows. The first show is called There's More to You with Michelle Washington, where I sit down and talk about, people that have discovered their more.
Mhm.
Um, on the other show is coming up, and you'll be the first to hear about this, and I'll share with you. It's called She's Hilarious. She's Hilarious is me sitting down with female comedians, and asking them, the story behind them being comedians. Why is it important for laughter to be a default or a key ingredient in our life?
Mhm.
Um, the other thing that I'm really excited about is called She's More Than a Mother, where I sit down with older adult women to talk
Mhm.
about their relationship with their mothers. If you could give your mother a name outside of mom, what would it be? So there'll be different mini series, docu series, and things like that that I do. But I'm really just starting because I always wanted to take the magazine and make it more animated. I wanted to bring the words to life, which is so crazy that it's happening because all I'm doing is taking the model of the magazine and making it more animated, come to life, more conversational with people.
That's dope,
Yeah,
man.
really excited about it.
So are all the shows happening all at once? Is it going to be like okay, episode 1 through 5, and then we're gonna cut and then go to the next thing? Like what, so how's that going? How's that coming to
So,
life?
There's More to You will be a weekly thing
Hmm.
that we drop.
Yep.
She's Hilarious is more like a mini series, a docu series.
Sure.
So it'll be like series because eventually I'm thinking broad and bigger that eventually will be on a network. A TV network needs content, right? So
Hmm.
we'll already have the content for those things, but the main thing is There's More to You. That's the first thing, but then all the other stuff will be mini series. So it'll be like three series, to a 3 episodes to the series.
That's dope, man. And I mean, don't discount it, but maybe it might be the Women of More network. Why not?
I would love that.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think what the pandemic taught us is that we don't need as much as we thought we did.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the network can be YouTube, or it could be like direct to consumer. I don't know what that looks like. I know Dame Dash did something like that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure it takes some resources, which you know a guy. You know a
Yeah,
guy who could take care of all that.
for
You know what
sure.
I'm saying?
It's already written, brother.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, what where do you see everything that you have going on in the next 5 years?
One of the main things that I see is me sitting in the audience and watching all these women so successful, so successful, me cheering them on, me seeing them accomplishing all the things that they said they wanted to accomplish. And I'm just looking at them and smiling. I could see that for them. That is the biggest, and I tell them all the time, that is my biggest gift. That if you could give me something, just do what you say you're gonna do, and let me assist you getting there. But that's one. The whole Women of More TV, um, and traveling more to those countries or states that just need God to show up in a way that He showed up for me. That's what I say.
Mm. I got a question for you now that you said that. Do you? Because you get up in front. So if people don't know, we go to the same church. We go to Caesar Greatness Bible Church, where Pastor Jerome and Lisa Lewis are the pastors. They were just on the podcast a couple weeks ago. And my question to you is: do you get nervous at all? Because you look like you look now, super
Mhm.
confident, feisty, throwing jokes out there, making people laugh. Do you get nervous when you speak at all?
Yes. Yes.
Yo,
It,
you can't see it, yo.
yes, I do. I do. And it's like I'm nervous for the first 10 to 20 seconds. I'm pacing myself. I'm
Yeah,
pacing myself. But then I'm like, all right, let's go.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
as one introvert to another, I see what you're doing, and it's beautiful to watch. And the energy that you bring, it's infectious. And what you do for my wife and the other women that are in your community is amazing, and it deserves to be applauded. And I appreciate you.
Jay, I want
I
to
do.
say this to you. It meant so much to me when you said, I appreciate what you do for my wife. It's one thing to get that from other women when they say, thank you. But for a man to say that to you, it is everything. It is
Mm,
everything. And I appreciate you trusting me to pour into your wife, to be a cheerleader for her. I appreciate that so very much.
absolutely. I mean, I feel like you're doing more for me than I am for you saying that, because I know what being a part of a community, especially a thriving community, a community that's actually doing something, pouring into you, and women connecting with each other. Because when somebody's a part of a community, they might come for you,
Mm-hmm.
but the real meat of the community are the community members.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys to be networking with each other and bigging up each other's businesses and things of that nature, especially as small businesses, people, we need that. We
Absolutely.
need people to champion us so we can keep going, because anybody who's an entrepreneur or been an entrepreneur for 2 minutes knows that it is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, man. And what you're doing with these women are, it's really awesome. It is. It
Thank you.
is. So, guys, this has been, first of all, Michelle, thank you so much again for being a guest on Wealth's Journey. This has been an amazing conversation. I definitely appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you want to leave? Any parting words? Where we can follow you? I'm gonna put everything in the description, but magazine, where they can follow you, all those things. If you
Yeah.
wouldn't
The best thing that I would hope for people to do is follow us on YouTube, Women of More TV,
mind.
then all the everything else, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is always Women of More. The thing that I would say to those that are watching is that there really is more to you. And I say it all the time, and I'm not saying it because it's our tagline. I'm saying it because there really is. Where you are today, even not, it doesn't even have to be bad stuff. Where you're blessed at today, God has so much more for you. There's no way that this is your stopping point.
Mhm.
There's no way. God said, I will exceed things in abundance. So it's important that you continue to keep an open mind, to make sure you're saying the right things, not to them, but to yourself, and you're putting in the work. And I mean that.
Mhm.
There really is more to you.
Absolutely. So, guys, thank you again for tuning in today. Michelle, again, thank you so much for your time and pouring into the audience. I'm sure that there's going to be many women who are going to be joining your group as a result of seeing this, because I'm stamping, and I'm not even in the group. I'm putting my stamp of approval on Women of More. So you can pour into other people like you're doing today. So thank you so much again. Wealth is a journey. We will see you next week. Peace.